Hey guys, what's up? It is week 69. I am looking like Murray. If anybody lived in the Midwest, I'm not sure if Murrays were everywhere, but there was this guy with a giant beard and a giant big... He looked like a hairy knuckle when he was basically on the side of this building. That's exactly who I look like. Look over there or here, you'll see a picture of him. But that's what I look like right now. This is week 69. I have some reviews for you. But I want to start this out with something a little different. I have a question to ask you guys. Now, I usually record these on Sundays. That's why some of your questions that are asked are always asked in the next week. So anybody that wants to participate, please get your questions in the Saturday you see the video or early Sunday. But the question I want to ask you guys is, and I'll read them on the next video, whoever gets in, leave it on YouTube or on Screaming Toilet page, is... which film in a series has always been a slog for you guys to get through? I have a bunch. Like, you know, the big series, like A Nightmare on Elm Street for me. I can't stand Part 5. I mean, I appreciate some aspects, like the special effects are great and stuff like that, but I never liked that one, Dream Child. As a kid, it always bothered me. I always loved 3 and 4 and 1, and 2's okay. Like, I even came around on 2, and I don't even hate 6, because I saw it when I was very young, but I never liked Part 5. And then, like, Jason Takes Manhattan, Part 8. I always disliked that one. I always thought it was just miserable. I always see it on TV and be like, I can't finish this. And there's other ones, and that brings me to my Within a Minute segment that I'm going to do, because this is another one out of a series that has always been a slog for me to get through. This is Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. I didn't watch the new Shout Factory Blu-ray or my old Blu-ray. I actually watched it on Vudu. But I'm going to do Within a Minute for you guys, and let me know. Maybe I'll put a little clock down there to see if I can make it. I know I didn't make it last time when I tried to do this. It's basically to do a quick review in a minute. But, okay, let's go. Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, the sequel to the hit movie, obviously by Spielberg and Tobe Hooper. It brings back most of the family. They're on the run, but of course the poltergeist spirit is still following them. That's basically the setup here. This one adds in more into the Native American element with Will Sampson, and he's pretty much playing a stereotypical kind of Indian character who's like intertwined with this weird spirit world. Zelda Rubinstein makes an appearance too. One of the daughters is missing, which is kind of distracting, but really the main focus in this movie that I want to talk about is the addition of Kane is scary, is good. They add the religious aspect there, but this movie's tone is a mess. At times it's like heartfelt and sweet with the grandmother character, and I actually love the grandmother character, and you kind of like get this warm, cuddly feeling, and then at times, I don't know, some people may like this, it's very dark and disturbing, but then it's also goofy and completely insane, and the script, it just kind of slumps forward, going into different plot points. It's very confusing in a way how the script works. It's just nonsense. The special effects are amazing in it. It's awesome. There's good performances, but the tone is all messed up. It's so messed up, and it's so just inept and just sloppy and stupid. To be honest, it's way too dumb. The great performance by the grandmother, and then it gets very mean-spirited in that with the grandmother, and there's just a scene that just makes me sick to my stomach where Heather Rourke's character, Carol Ann's, talking to her grandmother about growing up, and then you know what actually happened to her, and I just said, I know this shouldn't affect my rating of the movie, but I was like, this is making me actually sick to my stomach. It's just, the movie totally is a mess. It has some genuine scares in there, and it's probably remembered fondly for a lot of kinder trauma that it caused people, but it's not great. It comes in at average for me. It always has. And I've always had problems watching it because I love the first. I enjoyed the first one very young. I love the third one. I know it has its own problems, but I like it, and I can get over those. The second one, the trite, cheap Native American aspects are too strong. It doesn't know whether it wants to be a family movie, a horror movie, a comedy, or something serious or dark. But that's Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. I'm not a huge fan of it. Did I make it? I don't know. Probably not. I'm going to start with Diamonds of the Kilimanjaro. This is an old Jess Franco movie. There was like a Shriek Show release of this one. This is from the MVD Marquee Classics line. I had never watched this one. And, you know, Jess Franco is an acquired taste, I'll say. Like I told somebody this week, they said, I've never been a big Franco fan. I said, he grew on me like a wart. And that's exactly how I would explain Jess Franco. He definitely grew on me like a wart. Diamonds of the Kilimanjaro is not one of his strongest efforts. It's a jungle adventure movie, so I was sucked in right away because I'm a big fan of stuff like Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, and Jungle Holocaust. All that stuff. I like jungle adventure movies, even if they don't involve cannibal aspect. This one does not. It follows the story of this plane crash and this girl who's in a plane crash. It follows the story of just a plane crash, but it follows the story of this girl and her father getting this plane crash. She's very young at the time, and the natives of this land think that it's some sort of god, so they respect this man. And fast forward to the future, or the modern day, and we have this woman who's dying. She wants to send her brother or uncle, some relatives, to go find her missing daughter and husband in the jungle. But they don't want that to happen because they want to inherit some money. So they have some shady people involved. They kind of want her to die or not come back. And that's basically the plot of this movie. They go in, a lot of shady people. People are getting picked off. There's this kind of aggressive, tribes girl, a woman who is, kind of leading the war effort or the violent effort against a lot of people that come in the jungle looking for these diamonds. Did I mention there's diamonds? Because there is diamonds, hence the title. But this movie is very sloppy, very, very, very sloppy, very inept, it's got to be one of the worst 80-yard movies I've ever seen in my life. And you might get a kick out of it for that. There's a lot of nudity, a lot of topless women walking around, a lot of sex, beautiful women having sex with guys they probably wouldn't have sex with. It's just like the lead guy to me is like, it's like if Jess Franco was a little bit more attractive, that's how he'd look, I guess. But and it's funny, his name's Robert Foster, and I looked on the back for a second, I was like, oh, Robert Forster. I was like, I can't believe he's in this. And then I was watching it, I was like, I think I got bamboozled here. This is not Robert Forster. But yeah, it doesn't have any features to speak of. It looks pretty good, especially for a cheap movie. The only shots that are like grainy and out of focus are probably because Franco shot him out of focus. But yeah, it's not a particularly good movie. It's a slog to get through, but it looks a lot better than one would expect it. It has a lot of ADR is terrible. The plot is very stupid, and the characters' motives and everything and how it ends is just it's just not good. I'm sorry. It's a terrible movie. It looks all right. I like the slipcover. I like the case. I appreciate that they went to the jungle and went and made and took the time to do something that might be a little bit harder than usual for Franco. But it's just not a good movie. It's one of Franco's least well done efforts, and that might be from, I don't know, just budget. It's just terrible.
L'Afrique, continent de mystère et d'aventure.
Mais vous êtes fous! On va avoir les moris à nos trousses!
Les diamants du Kilimanjaro. L'expédition de tous les dangers. Une troupe d'aventuriers à la recherche d'un fabuleux trésor. Les diamants du Kilimanjaro, objet de convoitise qui engendre et exacerbe les passions.
J'ai un marché intéressant à te proposer si tu veux les diamants pour toi seul. Embrasse-moi.
Je n'avais pas le droit! Yamba! Voilà! Adoua! Adama! On va voir.
Une fortune inaccessible qui transmet la force divine aux guerriers qui la protègent.
Ayana.
Une aventure à vivre avec force. Les diamants du Kilimanjaro. Bientôt sur cet écran.
Okay, the next one here is Golden Temple Amazons from the MVD Marquise Classics. This is also the first one of that. The one previous was made in 83. This is made in 86. This is also a Jess Franco jungle adventure movie. Now, this one's plot is a little bit more in-depth. It does have William Berger in it, who I didn't even recognize. He's looking so rough in this one. But again, the ADR is atrocious in this. We follow the story of another girl whose parents were killed in the jungle after her father tried to steal some diamonds from this tribe of Amazons. And the daughter is basically raised in the jungle. She has all these animal friends, including a rhino. I think there's an elephant. There's definitely a chimpanzee in here. And she basically goes to fight the Amazons with the help of some other people. Some people come in looking for her. Both these movies run together for me because I watched them very close. They're both very similar. They have a lot of the same cast involved. And this one has a little bit more in it, but it's just as terrible as far as I'm concerned. There's some really bad fights in it. Some fight choreographing in here that's just terrible. It's kind of funny, to be honest. Again, this is a fun movie to watch with friends and have a couple drinks and enjoy yourself, but as far as like watching this as like a serious piece of film, it's just not gonna do anything for you except make you want to take a cyanide pill. But that's not these aren't really advertised as something like these top-notch movies, you know, and Franco can work well on a budget at times and do a very good job, but here there's just so much going against him, but he's trying to add so many things to it. I mean, there's animals in here, there's again tons of topless women, slow motion shots of them riding a horse. So, I mean, even at that point, when you get all this nudity in here, it's just still at points you're like, let's wrap this up. Let's hurry this up. At one point in this movie, I don't know if it's a disc error, but I have a feeling that it's a Franco error. There's a scene where you can't hear any of the dialogue at all, and there's a crocodile, almost a crocodile attack, and everybody, and the music's suspenseful, and then it does the same scene over again, but the dialogue is now audible, and it's just like, what just happened here? What's going on? I don't know. Is this on purpose? Is this some sort of artistic, flair here? I don't know. I don't want to know. But there's this couple characters in here that are absolutely ridiculous. The motives of the head baddie here who rules the Amazons, it's also kind of dumb. It's like we have this Amazon tribe, and then the leader is William Berger, the only male of the tribe. It's like, come on, get out of here with that. And then like you think that like this one character who goes to help her, that she fights earlier and she beats up with the help of a chimpanzee. His acting, even with dubbing, is just bad. It's just so over the top. I mean, it looks good again. I'm surprised they remastered this thing so well. The only shots that are out of focus are some with the animals and some of the other stuff. And you could tell that's just out of focus shots that don't look too particularly good. I mean, you can tell the difference between how well something is remastered, you know, even if it is out of focus. But neither of these have many features on here, or any, I don't think. They have some trailers. Neither of them have subtitles. They're both in English. You can watch Golden Temple Amazons in French, I believe, as well. Which I believe a lot of the people in this movie probably were speaking French, but it doesn't really matter because they probably all didn't record sound on the set. But I think that Golden Temple Amazons is a little bit more ambitious, but just as bad, if not worse, than Diamonds of Kilimanjaro. But if you like these movies and you want to have a couple drinks and sit down with some friends, they are remastered, and they look pretty good for what they are, for sure.
Get the hell out of my place!
Let's go. Mommy. Oh.
Lost way, never come back. You not go.
I must find the killers of my parents, but I'll be back. Don't worry.
I'm an archaeologist. I'm going to the Blue Mountains to find the remnants of ancient civilizations.
We are going to the Blue Mountains, too. To avenge my parents.
You are Liana, right?
You know me?
I've heard about you. She's all right. We couldn't have found a better guide.
I'm Rita, captain of the Amazon Honor Guard. I shall enjoy playing with you. But quite unusual games, of course.
Let's go, quick!
Okay, the next one here is from Kino Lorber, and this is 1987's Rolling Vengeance with who's in this? Ned Beatty and Lawrence Dane. Lawrence Dane I remember from Darkman 2 growing up, but Ned Beatty, man, Ned Beatty's in tons of stuff, most notably Deliverance. Now this is a good old-fashioned revenge story, but it's a little bit ridiculous. As one of my friends said when I was talking to him about this movie, he said, this movie's like one of those dime store pulp novels you'd see, like in a section, and just like, it looks absolutely ridiculous and you want to see it. But the plot of this movie is there's a couple truckers, Lawrence Dane and his son, and they run this company, and they deliver alcohol and booze to this tiny Ned Beatty's character and his 5 ridiculously man-child kids. And they're always trouble. They're just, a thorn in this side of this town. And everybody hates them. They're animals. And it escalates to ridiculous levels. They spill some cases of beer that sets it up, and they basically do not like each other at that point. Tiny's boys just run amok, and they cause some real horrifically tragic things to happen to Lawrence Dane and his family. This is basically where the movie escalates. And when I was watching this first, I was like, why are these guys being like this? They're acting so over the top. No one acts like this. And I was like, this is getting way too stupid for how mean it's going to get. And I literally was kind of starting to dislike the movie. But as it progressed, it won me over in a big way. As it went on and on, I was like, I love this movie. It's trashy. It's exploitative in a lot of ways, but it has like a good dramatic element to it, like a big dramatic core, and I dug it. So what happens is, after the son loses so much, he snaps and he builds this giant monster truck. Not to mention, Tiny runs his bar is not just a bar. This is how kind of sleazy Tiny is. It's also a strip joint and a used cars sales place. So he's just like such a sleazy guy, and his hair's done up kind of like the cat lady from the cat teacher from Monster Squad. It looks great. He turns in an amazing performance as just a sleazeball. His kids are all bad. You hate them. Lawrence Dane is great in it, but the revenge is very fun, very over the top with the monster truck. It's got all these crazy tools on it. I dig it. I think it's a lot of fun in that aspect. And it's very enjoyable because the bad guys you hate so much. And there's a really great scene in here where you see it's funny, but it's done only funny because the situation and the dialogue, and it's great. There's where they're all eating dinner, the remaining family of the Tiny's family and his boys. Some of the boys had already been murdered. And the 2 of the brothers are just being obnoxious assholes. A couple of them are. And they bring all these potatoes out in their dinner. They're eating at the bar. And Ned Beatty starts throwing the potatoes, the mashed potatoes at all of them, freaking out. And he's screaming and yelling, and then he stops, and he's like, darling, we're going to need more potatoes out here. And it goes to the next scene, and I was like, no, you guys didn't do that. Like, it was like almost like it'd be great if it was an improv by Ned, and then they just kept it in there because it was so perfect.
What'd you do that for?
Wait for the blessing.
Blessing?
Bow your heads, damn it. What kind of low-life scumbag assholes did I raise here? Your brothers, your own flesh and blood, not even cold. And all you can think about is to feed your fat bellies?
We gotta eat.
You gotta eat. You gotta eat. Well, eat. Eat that. Make it funny. You eat. Eat it. You want to eat it. Eat it. You eat that, huh? Let us eat it. Eat it. Get it, boy. Eat it. You want some butter with it? Put it down. Okay. Now, Vic tells me that he sent your brothers out to get Steve Tyler. Now that means that he got to him or Joey Rosso got to him first. Now, you can't let that happen again. You got to make them pay. You got to make them pay or you cannot come back here, because I'll kill you myself! Join your hands in prayer. Put your hands in here. Come on. Watch my eyes, damn it. God, we want you to look after them two boys that are no longer with us here. And God, come on, God. Help us get the low-life sons of bitches that did it.
Amen.
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 Fucking A. We need more potatoes out here.
It has a commentary on here and some other trailers. I'd really recommend checking this one out. I think it's Canadian too. I know Lawrence Tam is a Canadian actor, but yeah, Canadian movie. If you like revenge movies, it's well worth your time. It's pretty mean-spirited though. You know, it kind of reminds me on the same level of something like New Kids by Sean Cunningham, in that kind of vein, and kind of over-the-top bad guys. But I like this kind of stuff. I always have.
It began as a game.
Look out! They're not drunk. They're intoxicated with joy from the great times they have in this fine establishment.
What it became was the ruthless murder of an innocent family.
That man killed my wife and kids.
Leaving a father and son to defy a lawless breed.
Can you find him $300?
Cheating the system.
You got to make him pay.
Planning the terror.
Here he comes.
I'll get him.
For them, it's still only a game. For Joey Rosso, the vengeance is real.
Hell is that?
Rolling vengeance, because the police aren't fast enough.
Gonna want to know about this.
The laws aren't tough enough. And one man alone just isn't enough.
There's a vigilante trucker out there.
Maybe the guy figured that somebody had to do something.
Joey, they're gonna put you in jail.
Go home, Misty.
Joey Rosso is fighting back with the only weapon he has. Rolling vengeance. The ultimate monster truck.
Okay, guys, the next one I'm going to review it needs no introduction. I shouldn't even be reviewing it. 1985, directed by Tom Holland, Fright Night. Or Fright Night. I'm sure a million people have done that way better. I've just embarrassed myself quite a bit there. But yeah, this is the Eureka edition that comes with the documentary You're So Cool, Brewster, and a slew of other features. I'm going to be more brief on Fright Night, but talk more so about, the You're So Cool, Brewster. But Fright Night, it's a classic. I've always loved Fright Night. I've always loved Fright Night too. Tom Holland did a great job with this. And the older I get, the more I realize how good a movie this is and how well he mixed the comedy in his movie. It's not like just so goofy or even campy. It's serious in its tone, and the dialogue is great. There's not a weak link in this movie. If anybody doesn't know the plot of Fright Night, it's basically Rear Window with a vampire. Charlie Brewster lives with his mother, and he basically one night next door he notices that Chris Sarandon and his helper are up to something strange. Girls keep going in and not coming out, and there's also some serial murder going on. He puts two to two together, and then he realizes, of course, he's a vampire. He sees his fangs and whatnot. That starts basically the problem right there. And what would a kid do? Well, a kid tells the police. He does that, and it goes to a brilliant scene with Art Evans, who pops up as a cop. Also in the movie Mom, where a mom turns into a werewolf. If anybody's ever seen that one, it's pretty fun. But and then the cops don't believe him, of course, and that he goes to his childhood hero, one of his heroes, Peter Vincent, based on Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. He's a late night host on this horror show and introduces his old horror movies. So he goes to him, played by Roddy McDowall, classic actor, and basically him and his friends have to face off against Chris Sarandon and his helper. It's a great movie. It does, like they talked about in the making of and all the interviews and whatnot, that this movie adds a human touch to the vampires, and there's moments of sincerity in here, stuff that pushes the movie far further. Also, the great score by Brad Fiedel does an amazing job, who did Terminator the year before, so it's got really great stuff going for it. The You're So Cool Brewster documentary is 2 hours and 26 minutes long. It has all the major players in here, except the mother they really couldn't find, but it's great. And of course, obviously Roddy McDowall had passed away. They do have some archival stuff in here with them, but they have the special effects artists. There's lots of good behind the scenes stories about that, and about one guy getting his ass chewed out for going above the for having some weird thing where they kind of just screwed him over, but he got to work on the movie anyways. Steve Johnson's on here. There's lots of good funny anecdotes, and they talk about all sorts of things and questions that you had about Fright Night, like what is Billy Cole? What is Billy Cole really? Is he a ghoul? I always assumed he was some sort of ghoul, weird helper zombie thing. They talk about that. They talk about the sequel and whatnot, all great anecdotes. And the guy who plays Billy Joel, Billy Joel, yep, Piano Man. I'm just kidding. But Billy Cole, his interviews are funny. He's a funny guy. I guess he was like an improv comedian, and I love the stories he tells. It really cracks me up. But great performances all around, great score, great special effects. It was one of those heydays where just to be alive, to think about it, you could have saw Return of the Living Dead the year before, then go see Fright Night, then go see Day of the Dead in the same year, and then all sorts of so many cool things. Lost Boys a couple years later. So, I mean, it revived the vampire genre. It's just such a good movie, and they even have interviews, like additional extra features on here with like a Q&A at Fear Fest, and that has some Tommy Lee Wallace from Fright Night 2 and Julie Carmen, and then there's some additional interviews with John Grise and Brian Thompson and all sorts of things on there. I like seeing that too. They talk a lot about the Fright Night movies, and then there's even archival electronic press kit, the music video by Jake Giles Band, the choice cuts with Ryan Turek from Shockwaves, not to mention that Rob Galuzzo hosts the panel. So there's a lot of familiar faces that I like seeing and that do a great job. There's tons of special features. Like I said, it looks great too. It's a 4K scan. The sound was amazing in here. It was coming through my system, and it was a top-notch release for a top-notch horror film. I mean, anybody that hasn't seen Fright Night or doesn't like Fright Night, come on, guys. It's just such a good movie, and it's fun but not stupid. And that's such a good way to approach your movies. Take everything seriously. The silly stuff, it's going to be silly enough without you purposely making it stupid. I know. I feel like, like this stuff like this, like it's not campy necessarily. It's definitely not campy on purpose. Even if there is camp, it's genuine camp. But it's such a cool movie with amazing special effects, and Chris Sarandon is so good in this, and he's just such a cool guy in the You're So Cool Brewster too. He's just a smart, intellectual guy. You can tell he's a thinking guy. You can tell he doesn't talk out of his ass like I do. But yeah. Fright Night, great stuff, great release. I'd recommend checking that out. Maybe Shout Factory or Scream Factory will be releasing it soon, or somebody else. I don't know, but I couldn't wait anymore.
Mom, there are people next door.
Oh, I guess the new owner's moving in. It's supposed to be very attractive.
There are two guys out in the yard, and I think they're carrying a coffin.
Charlie, do you want to make love or not?
There was a murder last night. Charlie thinks he saw the victim in this house.
I saw him carry her body out in a plastic bag.
Another body of a young woman was discovered early this morning in back of the Sheridan Mall.
The guy did have fangs, and a bat did fly over my head, and a second later, he stepped out of the shadows. Now, don't you see what that means?
Wait, let me guess. What?
I have a vampire living next door to me, and he's gonna kill me if I don't protect myself.
The vampire cannot enter your house without being invited first.
This is our next door neighbor, Jerry Dandridge.
Hello, Charlie.
Fright Night!
have a sip of coffee for you guys. I'm going to go into the VHS Voyage, and this one, what was this, 87 too? I believe it is 87, yep. This is 86, 87. This is an Embassy tape. This is Hunter's Blood. This is the Deliverance ripoff with Clu Gallagher, Billy Drago, Joey Travolta, Bruce Glover. Who else pops in this? The big guy from Home Improvement. He's in tons of stuff. And I like this movie. I have a Laserdisc that's beat to crap, but I still have it. And I love the back of this. It looks like this one even got water damage. I remember buying it. Pretty cool Laserdisc and the VHS. And I even have a DVD bootleg of Hunter's Blood. I saw this movie, I think I only saw it a couple times before I actually rewatched it, but I left a lasting impression on me. I love backwoods movies. I love Hicksploitation. I love like the Deliverance style movies. But Hunter's Blood follows the story of about 5 city guys who go on a hunting trip to, they own the property to bag some deer. They run into some really mean-spirited poachers in here who are animals, monsters, just the stereotypical kind of backwoods things that, people would think are out there that probably are not actually out there. But Mickey Jones is the other guy. I forgot his name. But that's basically what it pitches: 5 city folk versus a group of ravenous, crazy deer poachers that have their own society out there. They're mean as hell. And the movie's pretty mean-spirited, no bullshit kind of stuff. And the first half of the movie's a little bit goofy. You have them kind of having fun to get to kind of lighten the mood. But then as it progresses, it gets pretty dark, especially in the way some of the guys are killed and or die. It's almost like elevates it to like a horror movie, especially what happens to one of the characters named Purdy Boy, if anybody's seen this movie. But I gotta give it up. I love that the bad guys have like they actually like each other. That helps push it on. The lead bad guy is actually Sal from RoboCop, and he's Redbeard in this. This movie's got tons of memorable lines for me. In fact, it was the first thing I ever uploaded to my channel like 10 years ago. I uploaded the trailer of Hunter's Blood, and I remember so many I've seen that trailer so many times, and just so many lines in this movie. Like Clu Gallagher's is one of the coolest guys ever, right guys? Clu's the best. But he says if they knew where we were, they'd be fighting us right now, or which one of you sons of bitches wants to die first? The Redbeard. But I love this stuff, and some of the deaths in here are great. Joey Travolta is ridiculous. He's very annoying, but he's supposed to be, and it's just every time somebody does a bad impersonation of John Travolta. This is John Travolta's brother, by the way, guys. It sounds like Joey Travolta, and that's what it reminds me of in this. The movie ends on kind of a strange note, but I would have loved to see more of this. But the performances in here by the bad guys, in particular Bruce Glover, he always turns in such a great performance. He pops up in stuff like Hard Times and Popcorn. But Bruce Glover in this is, they call him One Eye in this, and he's got like one dead eye, and he's just great in it. The bad guys are scary. They're awesome, and they all die in these kind of brutal ways. And it's a survival movie. It's also got Timothy Bottoms and Sam Bottoms. Timothy Bottoms' brother is the lead in this, and he does a pretty good job. I know this movie's got kind of an unfair rating on Letterboxd, but lots of movies do. Very, very inaccurate ratings on Letterboxd, if you ask me. But Hunter's Blood, man, I really recommend checking it out if you like Hicksploitation. It's got everything going for it, and there's this weird like laugh that you hear one of the kind of Hicks do in the background, and it's just so memorable. It's like right when you hear it, you're like, oh no, I'm in deep shit. But I dig it. I like this kind of stuff, and it's got some good drama too between the characters, but really cool stuff.
Get ready for the killing season in Hunter's Blood.
One of you sons of bitches wants to die first.
Only this season, the hunters will become the hunted.
If they knew where we were, we'd be fighting them right this minute.
Oh my God! Cover me! They're over here! Where the law of the land is, do unto others. Before they do unto you. Starring Samuel Bottoms, Clu Gallagher, and Kim Delaney. hunter's blood.
The next one is the Pick a Movie, and I don't remember who picked this one, but I had it for years sitting here. End of the Line. This is it's a Canadian film, I believe, or Canadian director at least. And I had heard some cool things about this movie, and I never watched it. But this is by the director who did Slashers, and I adored Slashers when it came out. I really dug this, and I was like, man, I should watch this anyways. And then they picked it, and I was like, this works out well. I've wanted to see this for years. This is a 2007 movie, and again, talk about unfair ratings on the internet and Letterboxd, man. Come on, guys. I'm sitting there looking at the ratings. I'm gonna rant for a second here, and like stuff like Golden Temple Amazon's has 2.8 or 5, and End of the Line's on the same level. I'm like, this is one of these movies like The Item or Colobus that's actually really cool, but it somehow got that extra push, and it was in like every video store. So like a lot of normal, I don't want to say everyday people that aren't used to any budget movies rented it and saw it, and they're like, that was the worst crap I ever seen. So they rate it like a 1, and in reality, it's, even to them, it should be an average film, but in reality, for what they have, I don't want to rate movies on for what they have, but the creativity, they're good. They're really awesome movies, and End of the Line is that. I love survival horror movies. I'm going to do this one without giving too much away. The less you know, the better it will be. Hell, you might even want to skip the trailer. I don't know what the trailer looks like at the end of this, but End of the Line follows the story of this girl who seems to have some psychological problems. She gets on this train, and something catastrophic happens where her and a group of survivors has to make it, and you don't know exactly what's happening, and that's something very scary about it. And the actual antagonist in the movie are you feel like you don't know if they're actually right or wrong, which sets a great thing here. But the director on here, you know, when you watch the movie, and I started going back and watching the features, they don't spoil anything, and they leave this movie open to interpretation. But if you watch closely, there is no interpretation in something. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's 2 lines in this movie where one of the characters says, all I had to eat was this, and you see somebody eat something else, and then you start to realize that, you know, okay, I know what's going on here. But the movie's brutal. I felt bad when characters died. I felt disgusted at points. It has one of the most realistic, yet I don't want to say it's over the top, but realistic head chopping scenes I've ever seen, because they do the thing that you should do when you're doing a realistic head chopping scene. It just doesn't fly off so easily. And I there's a couple of times in this movie when the people get hit or people get hurt, I do, oh man, because it feels real to me. And I was reading these reviews, and people were saying it wanted to be an over the top gory thing, but it doesn't really. It's not gory enough. I was like, not gory enough. And then I seen other things where people said if it could take itself seriously, I was like, there's quirkiness to it, but it's very serious. I don't know what these people are watching, and I don't know how these people are interpreting this movie, but this movie has some really genuine great moments. It's a survival movie. It's got good special effects. It's got good characters. It's got a good score. It's got a cool, kind of think for yourself type movie. Really, really liked it. I was very impressed with it. So much so that I had to go find the other guy's movie. I have Blood Symbol on VHS. He did 4 movies, and I already had Slashers, so I ended up having Lady of the Lake, which he also did. Not to be confused by Lady by the Water. But End of the Line, man, such cool stuff. I was very, very happy with it. Very, very surprised.
Demons. I've seen them. They're everywhere.
You still gonna take the train tonight?
The sisters hear the voice. Hope is God and God is love.
Who do you want to win your soul?
I'm sorry, no donations today.
What the hell is going on?
God loves you. God loves you.
Hey!
They've taken control. It must be happening everywhere.
The demons are coming. Can't you hear them, child? Shh.
today, guys. Let's hop into the pick a movie. If you ever want to enter, just leave a comment saying so on YouTube or Screaming Toilet. Do not re-enter unless you've been drawn. Your name will stay in the bag until you are drawn. I know the last person won was Michael Woodward, and he picked Killed Game. Who's going to win this one? We got Dracula Says I Have Great Taste. I like that name. That's very funny. Dracula Says I Have Great Taste. That you may. Let's see what you pick. I am excited to see. But let's hop into the Q&A. The M. Brown 80. I see you got some 88 films collection. What do you got in there? I just started purchasing the films, and I'm really digging them thus far. Always love seeing the weekly... Oh, okay, he's got 2 questions. I got a lot of the Euro ones. I tried to buy all the Euro Italian collection that has not been released here yet. Let me know if you actually want me to show my 88 films collection. I can do it next video. But, because I mentioned that showing some people stuff like that, but... Yeah, I haven't had a chance to actually watch a lot of their releases, but I've been picking them up because I know I want to have pretty much all the Giallo or Italian horror stuff that's not been released stateside yet. And a lot of that stuff may not be. Sorry, guys. Elixir of Life coffee. But, okay. Always great seeing the Weekly Western. Speaking of Western films, what are some of your favorites and pure stinkers? Some of my favorites are, of course, The Wild Bunch. I have some like 80s, favorites like Young Guns. That's just growing up with it, and Tombstone. I love those movies. But, you can't go wrong with stuff like The Wild Bunch and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. And a lot of the spaghetti westerns, Once Upon a Time in the West, Fist for a Few Dollars More. They're just great. So I would say, those are the ones I really, really enjoy. Posse is a guilty pleasure of mine. Pure stinkers. I haven't seen any old westerns, some older western movies that have been like just absolute pure stinkers. There's some that I just had no interest in seeing, like Texas Rangers when it came out. I don't know if it's any good. But there's a couple new westerns that came out a while ago that I reviewed. And one was with Clint Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood, and that one was okay. But there was another one that was following this like gang of guys. I can't even remember its name, and that was a stinker to me. That was bad. I did not care for that. And there's been some independent westerns. I don't want to give any names like that off the top of my head, but you have to have a certain amount of money or take it a completely different direction if you want to do a western, and it's like, an actual western, like a big western and widescreen and horses and just beautiful scenery and stuff like that. It's just not easily done unless you're going to make it a small kind of isolated western horror movie, and I could see that working. But it's just a lot of the new ones, you can't really be cheap and make a traditional western. I mean, you could be kind of cheap, but you can't be dirt cheap. Skip. Dave, may I ask a question for your YouTube channel? My question is that the Bad Man and Apple Cart, you have experience with acting wearing a mask. How do you deal with this limitation of not using facial expressions? Well, you listen to the director, first and foremost, if you trust the director, and if you don't trust the director, don't bother doing the movie. But, use your slouch. If your character's kind of slouchy, or you're supposed to be big and intimidating, you do the Kane Hodder that everybody says. You put your shoulders back. You breathe in. Even if you're small, you'll still look bigger. They'll shoot you up. They'll make you look big if they can. Use your posture. Use your things. I've always, when I talk, you guys notice I use my hands a lot. So sometimes that helps. But in like Apple Cart, you have to be larger than life. It's supposed to be almost like a, not a parody, but like it's a take on those kind of silent acting things where you have to be really big. And instead of just using your hands, you got to be like, look surprised like this. So it's different. And the Bad Man, I'm realistic. I'm in a real world. An Apple Cart, this is not the same world that we all live in. It's like a reflection of the real world we live in, like under the mask and everything. But it's not exactly the you know what I mean? It's not reality, or it shouldn't be told in the way reality is. So you got to use like your posture and stuff like that, your walk, it just stuff like that is what I would use, because you can't use your face, you can't use your eye. You can use your eyes, but only so much, especially if your eyes aren't showing up in every shot. Okay, I think he asked. Okay, there we go. John William, what is your favorite Gene Hackman role? Off the top of my head, I love him in Quick and the Dead. I know I love him in Unforgiven too, but I love when great actors get to have fun. And Quick and the Dead, Gene Hackman's having fun. If you live to see another day, it's because I allow it. His line in Quick and the Dead, I'm like, jeez. But he's in so many good movies. He always turns in a great job. So like any Gene Hackman role is good. Even like the crappy movies he's been in. Even like something like Hunting Party, he does the best job in that movie. Even over Oliver Reed. I mean, I think Hackman does a better job in Hunting Party. And I love Oliver Reed. So yeah, I mean, Hackman's good in everything. Nick Mua, if you ruled the universe, what would you do? Hopefully not disappear half of us, a la MCU's Thanos, or Thanos, whatever you want to say. If I ruled the universe, I have a weird sense. You know, I'm kind of a strange person when it comes to that. I don't like making decisions for other people. I don't like telling other people what to do. But also, I think that some people cross a line and there's no coming back. And those people shouldn't. They're no longer human. They're less than animals to me. Like, and I love animals, so I'm not saying animals are bad, but you know what I mean? Like, so it's very hard to determine, like, if I rule the universe, so basically if I was a god, you know, I would allow free will. You have to allow free will because you don't want, I just would reward good behavior, but unknowingly reward it. But I wouldn't want it to be that point where it's like, well, I did good, so I deserve this. Because there's so many people out there that are just being good just because it's going to probably cross some lines for people. I'm just trying to get in heaven. Be good to be good. I mean, if you believe in God, you don't believe in God, heaven should be a bonus. I mean, you know what I mean? Whatever I'm saying. But there's so many people out there that just are, like, if they didn't believe in God, they'd be monsters. And I think, I don't like people like that. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, if I ruled the universe, I don't know. It's such a weird question, to be honest, and a hard one to answer. Would you ever make a short film about the haunted orphanage in your neighborhood if you had the money? I wish it was my neighborhood, Mommy. It was nice, but it's kind of around me. I think it would be cool to do. I would like to have actual stories. I have to find some sort of story arc. I just wouldn't want to base it off that. Maybe you could make a couple anthologies about the haunted orphanage and stuff. I'm not big into ghost stories, so I'd have to have like flashbacks and like. Definitely bullshit it because hospital movies are always terrifying. Like an orphanage like this, I think it was like part hospital too. So you could have like this crazy hospital orphanage thing, experiments. I would definitely not have it be as close to the true story. Please name your top 3 Lovecraftian films. That's so hard. I mean, Lovecraft is everywhere. He's in everything. And I people are always like Stuart Gordon. I was like, I love Stuart Gordon movies. Don't get me wrong, but by plot, they are very Lovecraftian, but by execution, they are not. They're very sexual and sleazy. But I still can't deny From Beyond. I love From Beyond. I love Reanimator too. I don't know, but I'm just going to go with From Beyond. I'm going to go with The Beyond from Fulci. I think that's very Lovecraftian. I think Fulci is one of the most Lovecraftian directors out there. Very nightmare logic, very scary, and very just gives me an off feeling all the time. So we'll go with that. And last, I'm going to switch it up a bit. Maybe In the Mouth of Madness, I think, is very Lovecraftian, where it's this weird kind of way to end the world. So I don't know if those are my favorites. I mean, Reanimator would probably be above In the Mouth of Madness, but I want to give you 3 different kind of styles of H.P. Lovecraft horror. And that's what I'll go with. James Grimmer, in terms of special features, do image galleries interest you at all, or do you mainly stick to interviews? Do you feel that Easter egg features are something that companies should start doing again, or have those kind of surprises lost their appeal? Those sometimes they're fun, especially if like you just see something like, what is this? And it's like a 10-second interview or whatnot. I know that the Don't Answer the Phone original DVD or whichever one, the BCI, had a great Easter egg feature with Nicholas Worth on there. But, and along with the other additional interview with him. But image galleries, a lot of times they're garbage. Sometimes they're cool, especially, it depends who took the pictures. It depends what's on the image gallery. You never know what you're going to get with an image gallery. It could just be like 2 cases to the DVD, one from Japan, one from America, and that's it. Or it could be really cool behind-the-scenes stuff. Sometimes they interest me. I like interviews as well, but... yeah, I stick to everything. I watch all the features if I can, to be honest, but sometimes you don't have the time. Let's hop into the update. Okay, guys, here is the update. Let's start with the Kinos. I had to order something from the Kino sale, right? I wasn't gonna at first, but I couldn't deny them. I got 8 titles. The first one, Delta Force 2. I don't know if I ever saw Delta Force 2. I know I saw the first one. I know Lee Marvin's not in this one, but yep. Chuck Norris. I don't keep buying these Chuck Norris movies. Don't like Chuck Norris, but usually the movies are aligned with great character actors I enjoy. So, The Day After. This has 2 cuts on there. This is a post-apocalyptic movie along the line of Threads, I guess, but it's a TV movie, so it's not as messed up as Threads. Threads give you nightmares. And there's another one, I guess, called Testament that I wanted to see. But this has 2 cuts of the movie on here, theatrical and the TV version. It has Jason Robards in it. Very excited to check this movie out. I love Jason Robards. I love post-apocalyptic movies, and especially one that's told like in a serious, realistic manner. Could be very scary. Then we have the Crimson Cult, with Boris Karloff and Christopher Lee. I think Barbara Steele's in this as well. Looks very cool, very fun. From the 60s. And we got, I was excited to check this one out. A spaghetti western, A Minute to Pray, A Second to Die. It's got Alex Cord in it, Robert Ryan, George Kennedy, or Arthur Kennedy. Oh, the older Kennedy. But I love Robert Ryan, so yeah, Alex Cord's cool too. Alex Cord does he even have his mustache? He's got a 5 o'clock shed on there. But yeah, excited to check that out. We got here Platoon Leader and Soldier Boys, 2 Michael Dudikoff movies. They look fun. I always saw these covers. Or at least I saw Platoon Leader when I was a kid all the time. Never rented it. Something Big with Dean Martin and Brian Keat, Western. Looked a little silly. Star Slammer by Fred Olen Ray. I heard this is not particularly good. But I looked on the back, and the guy with the pink mohawk right here, is that Smeagol? Or what is his name? From Surf Nazis Must Die? Terrible movie, by the way. Great trailer. Terrible movie. But is that him? I wonder if it is. Okay, we got Diggstown. This looked cool. James Woods, Lou Gossett Jr., Bruce Dern. I think they talked about this on Pure Cinema Podcast. Man, Kino's just putting them out. Kino is awesome, and a good price, too. This wasn't from the sale, but I got this pretty good price. Moving Violations. Supposed to be a comedy. Dirt cheap. Got it dirt cheap. Couldn't pass it up. And I also got this one, dirt cheap. The Girl Hunters by Scorpion. Still sealed. I actually got The Girl Hunters and Moving Violations shipped for $10. Both of them together. That is cheap. Okay, and a couple VHS DVDs. This one, Dead Presidents. I didn't know if I already had it. I saw it at Best Buy for $4. Or $3.99. I love this movie. So I figured I'd show it, and I went downstairs. I already had it. I figured I already had it. I want a Blu-ray of this. Maybe Kino will get this one. But Dead Presidents, the follow-up by the Hughes brothers to A Menace to Society, which I think is a superior movie to Boys in the Hood, personally. But it's been a long time since I've seen Boys in the Hood. But Dead Presidents, I love this movie. It's so messed up, and it's got a great cast. Very memorable. I'm surprised not many people talk about it anymore. It was such a good movie. Lady of the Lake, Fangoria release. This kind of beat up, but it's out of print, so I'm not going to complain too much. Like I said, I heard pretty decent things about this one, but I know the Fangoria Presents also released iZombie, which I actually really like. But yeah, I'll check this one out by the guy who did End of the Line. Okay, guys, back to the video. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, have a good one.